calendaring of my House Bill number 310, one of the earliest bills to be filed in the President Congress. Mr. Chairman, the rationale for this is entitled to insulate the automated election system from the rest of the COMELEC organization, other officers of the government, candidates, representatives and agents of candidates, and any other person. We saw how the last election was conducted. I think the general result is satisfactory. Everybody, except the losers, is satisfied with the result. And I think we have to sustain the momentum that we achieved in the field of electoral reform through the automated election system, initiated by this Congress, by the House in particular. And to sustain this, we have to make sure that we maintain and sustain the integrity of the automated election system. It is the position of this representation that the automated election system is like a beast. A beast can be utilized for good, and it can be utilized for the not so good, Mr. Chairman. And to make sure that there is no doubt whatsoever, as the Spaniards the Spanish-speaking members of the House would say, my two colleagues on the left and on the right, sin duda. The objective is sin duda, without no doubt. To make sure, or as we say, no doubt, we insulate those who may be interested in the result in whatever way. To insulate the automated election system from these personalities. And in Section 3, I named them, of course, I hope that the named personalities and officials will not take this as an affront, but this is what we call just to preserve the integrity, the sin duda approach. Any officer of the COMELEC, any elected official, whether national or local, candidates, or representatives of candidates, and any other person, from approaching or meeting in private with any officer, employee of the private entity that is the winning bidder for the automated election and constructed, commissioned, or hired to provide the automated vote counting system, software, etc. Now, in the case of the COMELEC, Mr. Chairman, of course, this is going to be allowed, provided that this is going to be an official meeting, and it is in an open hearing with official records to make sure that the meeting, the minutes of the meeting become of public knowledge. But there will be the absolute prohibition with respect to the other entities, particularly candidates, national or local candidates. And this would include telephone calls, mobile calls, text messaging, email messages, other forms of electronic communications, etc., etc. I propose that, Mr. Chairman, and I would like to welcome the intervention of all members of the House present here and our guest to refine is House Bill number 310 to make it responsive to the objective of erasing any doubt on the integrity of the automated election system. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, distinguished members.
Do we hear any response coming from the COMELEC insofar as the bill of Congressman Golez is concerned?
Yes, sir. With the permission of the chairman and the honorable members, we just want to say that we don't really have an objection per se on the proposal being given by Congressman Golez. Our only reservation here is that insulate COMELEC from, let's say, the provider, the winning bidder, would be, we cannot really understand what is the scope of insulating COMELEC out of the bidder, since we discuss almost everything. Once we are during the elections, we are in constant touch with the provider, the winning bidder, so that we don't really have much to record. There are so many issues to discuss, such that to require us to record each and every discussion that we will have with the provider, winning bidder, it will be very dangerous on the part of the COMELEC. We don't have any objection with this. Any third party and candidates getting in touch with COMELEC or any other provider. But we cannot understand the insulation of COMELEC as against the provider winning bidder, because when we come near the elections, we're practically in one house talking to each other, practically all the details on how to conduct the elections. And I don't think it would be convenient for us to be talking and then recording each and every discussion that we will have. That is our interpretation on the broader aspect of the proposal. So may we be clarified, would that mean that all discussions between the provider, winning bidder, and the COMELEC officials should all be public and duly recorded? That's the only reservation insofar as insulating all the rest. Outside of COMELEC, we have no objection, but we will endorse this kind of insulation.
The author is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the objective of this is to make sure that every meeting is official. It is not a case of, by the way, all of a sudden there's this meeting which is not official, and it should be on a, well, the phrase used in some practices would be a need to know. In other words, only those who are relevant should be able to meet with the private entity handling this very sensitive automated election system. Now, on the recording of the chairman, I don't see why this should be difficult. Even lawyers, when they meet with clients, everything is recorded from the time that even the telephone call is recorded for billing purposes. I cannot see why this would become difficult and cumbersome. Just like, in an organization, for example, let's say in a government office, a very sensitive unit, everybody who goes in there could be locked in, and he would indicate the purpose of the visit for the sensitive unit. For example, anybody who would like to have access to a very sensitive data bank will be duly recorded also. This is very sensitive, Mr. Chairman, and we want to make sure that every meeting is official. And the meeting should indicate what is the purpose of the meeting. I cannot see why this would become difficult.
We make a response to that. What we're saying here on this is every meeting with providers, bidders, if it is simply recording that there was a meeting and not recording all the discussions during this meeting, then that would be totally different. But if we say everything that has to be discussed, we have to be written down,
not like what we're doing here. But basically, it should indicate what was the purpose of the meeting.
It is just a question of recording that two persons, one from the provider and one from COMELEC met on this day and discussed this item. That would suffice.
I think it would be good, Mr. Chairman, from the point of view of public perception, that there is such a system. During the post-election hearing conducted by this committee, but under then Chairman Rosil, one problem that was encountered was there was a group, maybe one group or two groups who were peddling the idea that they had access to the COMELEC, that they had access to the automated election system, and they could manipulate it for a price. Fantastic figures were presented here. 1 billion, 2 billion, 200 million pesos. for a provincial election, 30 million, etc., etc. And of course, probably the selling point of many of those peddling that idea was they had access. But if the public would know that that access is not possible because everything is official, and the private entity, the private contractor is also mandated, then we will reduce that perception. We will reduce the possibility of people going around peddling that they can manipulate the system in exchange for a significant, a substantial consideration. Just like, for example, if somebody will say, may access ako sa AFP information. But if people would know how difficult it is to have access, then probably that person will become less believable.
Okay, now, we understand what we wanted to clarify is the scope of COMELEC officers up to what level? Up to what level? Which means because when we start with the automated system, once we go into full blast for the preparation of the election like January up to May, there will be a project management office composed of COMELEC officials, senior staff, and then there is the provider with his own PFO. And they will be discussing that practically with their everyday, meeting with each other, monitoring all the activities. So, do we want this all reported, or are we really only officials of the Commission of Elections, which are the chairman and the commissioners? Or at what level?
I don't know, Mr. Chairman. I think we leave it up to the COMELEC to declare beforehand who will have access to this meeting.
We will just consider maybe we go to the details, but in principle, Your Honor, we have no objection to the proposed insulation of the AES system from outsiders, and even insofar as the COMELEC is concerned, provided there is a limitation as to the officials.
So,
And on the part of Mr. Chairman, this restriction is also imposed on the private contractor. That the private contractor should make himself incommunicado from myself, from other people. That is that's the life that he has selected. So he should make himself incommunicado, and he should not be seen socializing with persons, because otherwise, again, we will have that spectacle of people going around again saying that they have access to Mr. So-and-so. Yeah, they have had.
We will consider that very seriously. At least the experience of 2010 is such that the representative of the provider then was actually out everywhere and anywhere. And he was out in public, in television, in radio. So I don't know what will be the details, Your Honor, but I think we should really limit the public appearances of the provider so that he will not get too much contact on the outside. I think we can agree with that.
so we will just request the COMELEC to make a formal position paper, including your inquiries or proposals regarding the details of installation, who will be present in the meeting, how it shall be released, etc.
Yes, Your Honor. We will submit our position with some details and maybe expand a little the proposal.
How many days do you need, Mr. Chairman?
In about 10 days.
The Chair recognizes Deputy Speaker Emerson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.